1, 2, 3, funky.
Like you said earlier, you have goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you ask them, what is your goal? What is your focus? What do you plan to do um, to get into college, or how do you determine what colleges you want to go to? And say, for example, I'm not that great of a student, but I'm a pretty good athlete. Not even pretty good. I'm above average, and I'm outstanding. But that is my focus, to be an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Do you treat them differently than a person who says, "Hey, I'm an athlete, but I'm realistic. I just want to be able to play and get a full ride and get my education on." Do you
Well, I
treat
don't.
them differently, or do you treat them what about that third student that says, "Hey, I want a combination of the two. I want to get the best of both worlds, but I can't get into these huge schools. So what do I do?" How does your guidance start?
So my guidance starts to, again, I want all three of them to understand the process. So let's take the really good athlete that's struggling somewhat academically, right? Here's what I tell him and his parents. And again, this is the real talk. Why would a school give you a scholarship and you struggle academically when they can find a kid that doesn't struggle academically that's just as good as you athletically? Why would they give you the scholarship? They won't. They won't. Why are they going to risk having to deal with the headaches of someone that's struggling academically in college just because you run the ball fast, when I can go to Illinois and get a kid that runs the ball just as fast, but he don't struggle academically, right? So what they have to understand is there are more kids that want to go to college and play football than there are colleges for the kids to go play. So the colleges can pick and choose who they want. So being big, being fast, it doesn't mean anything. I've coached for over 25 years. I've coached kids that were big and fast, kids that looked like, man, this kid could go on and do great things. And they didn't, because academically they didn't take care of business, or they didn't train properly. So then when they were put on a bigger stage, they were exposed. You're not as strong. You don't run routes very well. You don't catch the ball as well as we thought against higher competition. All of these things are things that come into play when universities are making decisions on who they want to give money to come play sports. So what I share with parents is the way you control the narrative is, first, let's be real, okay? If you didn't even make your all-league team, how are you going to get a scholarship to go play your sport, right? Let's just be honest. If you're struggling to start on your team, why is the university going to give you a scholarship? If you're struggling to even start on the team you want, right? Okay, now, let's say you do all those things. You're starting, you make all league, you make all city, okay? You have some great numbers, all right? Now, do you fit the body type, right? Let's do some research. I've done this with kids. Let's look, hey, coach, I want to go to Alabama. Let's look at Alabama's roster and see what type of running backs Alabama has. Do you fit that model? Well, no, I'm a little shorter. Well, why would Alabama give you a scholarship and you're shorter than the average running back they give scholarships to, right? So once we get the realities in, then we can look at, okay, well, where can you go? And I found universities, Division I's, Division II's, Division III schools that kids can go, have that opportunity, and still play.
Well, do you recommend that, for example, and I know the type of schools you're referring to. I mean, most colleges are pretty good. As far as education is concerned, usually that's their first priority. If something needs to be eliminated as far as programs in a school, it's usually sports programs, right? It's not educational things that get eliminated. So if somebody, for example, got a full ride to South Dakota State, but you get a chance to walk on at, I don't know, USC. I mean, the choice would be obvious, but that's kind of tough to go all the way across the country, especially say for example, you're from California and you're going to South Dakota State, where there's probably nobody there, is the weather is extreme. I mean, that's pretty tough. And for a collegiate athlete such as yourself, you know what happens when you go all the way across the country and you're by yourself and you don't have, family to turn to when things get tough. That's pretty tough to really swallow, to know that, hey, I'm a good athlete, I'm a pretty good student, but I'm going to settle to go to South Dakota State for a full ride where I'm probably not going to be happy about it.
So here's what I would tell the parents, right? So the first thing, and I'm going to pretend like you're the parent. So the first thing I would say is, okay, you use the word settle. How are we settling when a school is saying, I want to pay you to come play football for us? I want to pay for your education. I want to house you. I want to feed you to come play for us. Versus a school saying, I'm inviting you to try out. I'm inviting you to come try out for our team. You're going to pay your own tuition. You're going to pay your own housing. You're going to pay your own food. All you're getting from me is an invite to come try out for the team and maybe be a water boy, right? So again, it's changing the perspective, right? So what I would ask the kid is, are you going to USC just to wear the sweatshirt and walk around with a USC sweatshirt? Or do you want to play football? If you want to play football, the choice is simple. You go to the school that's paying for you to come there and play football. If a school's giving you a scholarship, that means that they're projecting that at some point you're going to be a part of their program. Okay, so if South Dakota State's giving you a scholarship, you go to South Dakota State. It should be a little easier on your parents because you're not paying for school. So now they can focus on buying plane tickets to come see you, sending you a little extra money. And then you're going to be happy because you're playing. You're right. I played collegiate ball. I walked on at the university I went to. And that walk on, that's not a glamorous life. Okay. All right. I didn't play. When I think back to my days, and I made a choice. I went to the University of Iowa, and I went there because my mother had gone there, because I had always dreamed of going to a big university like that. All right. But I turned down going to a smaller school, Humboldt State, that wanted me to come. They were going to pay for me to come to school there. But I'm going to the Big Ten. I'm going to get drafted. I'm going to play for the Dallas Cowboys. And the reality hit me when I got there that, yeah, I was all league. I made all city. Okay. I made all NorCal, but everybody on the team was all league. Everybody was all city. Everybody was all state from where they came from. Right. I wasn't special. Okay. I was fast, but everybody was fast. And then you know what? Everybody was bigger than me because it's the Big Ten. So everybody was about 50 to 60 pounds heavier than me. Okay. So it was an experience, but I didn't like it. College is a business. Collegiate athletics is a business. And so I didn't like it. I got hurt. I wasn't on scholarship. And I was like, you know what? Why am I doing this? And so when I think back, I'm like, well, maybe my experience would have been different if I went to a school that actually wanted me to come there. The school that actually sat in the library at my school my senior year and gave me a presentation on why I should come to school there. Right. So that, again, that's what I tell parents is that you got to be careful getting caught up in all the extra stuff. I don't know if you knew this, but Snoop Dogg's son went to UCLA. Do you remember when Snoop Dogg's son was there was a reality show they were doing because he went to Bishop.
Yeah, Roger. He was I want to say he was a quarterback, right?
He was a wide receiver.
He was a wide receiver.
And,
okay.
Yeah, and so he went to Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. Snoop had got an apartment there, and they were kind of following the whole thing. He was really good, right? Really good. And so got a scholarship to UCLA. Now I remember watching that reality show, and the one thing I noticed was I didn't really know if the son really loved football or if he just loved all the shiny bright lights that was coming because of who his father was and because Bishop Gorman is a nationally ranked high school. I just didn't know if he really loved football. Well, he goes to UCLA. I mean, he's not on the team no more. He left. I think he was there barely a year, and he stepped away because whether it's UCLA or it's South Dakota State, it's still football. It's still a business. These schools have money invested in this, and they expect you to produce. And if you don't produce, that's how it is. So he didn't last that long. And again, that's what I tell parents when I talk to them, is you got to understand that this is a serious business. And if you're not focused on what you're doing and making the right decisions based on what's best for you, then your child is going to end up stopping doing it. They're not going to do it. And it's like, what was the whole point? What was the whole point of going there?